Hi guys, hope you are all fine. How I've said you before, I'm launching the video course of classes for making our bodies ready for the summer season. But at first, I would like to tell you my own story, the story how I was losing the weight and getting the body that I dreamed of before. Of course, some of you know that the biggest part of my life I was the professional ballroom dancer. But you know that being the professional athlete, it absolutely doesn't guarantee you that you won't have any problems with the weight loss, and especially it concerns women and girls. All our life, we women are changing. The female body changes during life so much, and sometimes changes are really very extreme. Like for example, the best change that can happen with women's body is the pregnancy. And by the way, this is so important also to be ready for this change physically. The most physically strong you are, the easier you will be able to endure the pregnancy, and the most important, you will be able to give the birth to the baby yourself without surgery. And also, it will help you to be an active mom and to return to the shape of the body that you had before the pregnancy much more easier and quicker. So, let's come back to my story. I was born in the family of professional athletes, and from the first days of my life, it was clear that sport would become a big part of it, and it happened. So, I've learned to walk in the gym. Trampoline was my favorite fun in the childhood, and because my father was the professional karate fighter, before I learned to talk, I knew how to protect myself and in case how to kick someone's ass. At the age of 4, my parents introduced me to figure skating. I learned it quickly and successfully because physically already I was developed and strong. When I turned 5.5 years old, a new sport appeared in my life, beautiful ballroom dancing, and it became the main thing of my life for many years. I became several times the champion of Ukraine, and the first time it happened when I was just 10 years old. Also, I was the finalist and the champion of many international and world championships. I've had a great and an interesting experience in participating in dance TV shows. As Strictly Come Dancing, I was there like a dancer and a choreographer. Eurovision Dance Contest, I was the main choreographer of the Ukrainian couple, and etc. Like an athlete, I was representing not just Ukraine on the competitions, also I was representing Japan, and I was the first female European dance partner who was dancing together in a couple with the Japanese boy. I've managed to get a higher education related to sports and physical culture, so successfully I finished the South Ukrainian Pedagogical University and became the certified specialist. And all of my above experience did not affect my weight in any way. I mean that still in some periods of my life I've had some problems with the weight, especially at the age 14-18 when my hormonal changes were really very active. My baby body started to turn into a curvy female body. My boobs all became really very big and my weight was around 63-65 kilos, but it wasn't just the fat. Mostly it was strong and working muscles, and without having it I wouldn't be able to be a good dancer, but still I've had some fat, and this fat made me feel really very massive. And when I was dancing, because of my extra weight, I've started to feel myself absolutely uncomfortable, and I've started to change the technique part of my dance, especially of my body posture. So like a result, I've started to have problems with my lower back. So, at the age of 22-23 years old, I've decided to lose some weight, and all the experience that I've mentioned above helped me in it. Because at first, I knew my body, I've learned to listen to it, and it helped me to find my own method of the right way and very important, comfortable way of losing the weight. Of course, not everything was really very smooth at the beginning. At first, I've decided to try popular diets, and I limited myself to food. But I love food, I love to cook, so for me it meant that I limited myself to enjoying life, and like a result my mood was really getting down every day and I felt myself horrible. I've started to have a wish to do nothing, but still I did it just because I got used to do what I have to. But you know what? I didn't see and feel a big result, so my mood started to become more worse, and of course like a result I was depressed. But then I remembered my own golden rule from ballroom dancing: enjoy the process, then the result will be successful. And I decided to enjoy the process of getting my body to that shape that I wanted, and the successful result was not long in coming. I understood that at first everything starts from our head, from the way we think and how we listen to our body. I know that it sounds a bit weird. We listen to our body, but it's true, and it's the most important thing. We have to learn to listen to our body in the correct way, because just our body knows what is the best for it. Our body is the machine that has to be used in a correct, active way. We have to take the best care of it, and then our body will give us an opportunity to enjoy life as much as we can and in the best way. I'm 34 years old, and now I even look better than in my 25. I'm absolutely happy with the way I feel and look now, and it gives me such a huge confidence, and this is so important for a woman. I have young boyfriends, yes, younger than me. I eat and drink everything that I want to and whenever I want to. And when I'm talking about food, I mean all the delicious food, chocolate, pasta, everything. I've just learned to listen to my body, and my body thanks me back by the way I feel and look now. I know that life is not just about holidays and having fun. There are problems, and there are some problems that we can't avoid, and not everything depends on us. But the only thing that depends on us is our body. No one can change it without our permission. So that's why let's love ourselves, let's do ourselves happy and healthy, and let's do it by and without rules with me.